Great. Looks like everybody's in. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Darren. I am one of the marketing coordinators with BCIT's School of Health Sciences. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this online information session for the Medical Laboratory Science program. And just before we get started, the British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. And we are very grateful for that. Our agenda for this evening is some quick welcome and introductions. We're going to skip the poll question. Sorry, I didn't update that slide. We'll watch a industry video and we'll go through the main presentation. Then we'll have some program overviews, and then we'll have a live Q&A at the end where you can hopefully get all your questions answered. It is my pleasure to introduce Julian, the program head for the Medical Laboratory Science program. And thanks, take it away, Julian.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Julian Fo, and I am the program head for the Medical Laboratory Science program at BCIT. I joined the team at the end of October last year, and before that, I was working in the industry. A bit about myself. I graduated from this program back in 2014 and worked at Life Labs from the moment I graduated up until a few months ago. So why don't we get started with the presentation? Darren, if you can move on. Okay. So let's start off with a bit of background information. This lab code here, it actually has all the tests that are done on a daily basis by medical lab techs across the country. If you were to zoom in to the next one, you will see essentially all the tests that are available in public and private labs in Canada. And lab techs they perform 1.2 million tests a day as part of their work across the country supporting healthcare. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with watching a video from WorkBC that they did a while back about a medical lab tech in the field.
Our next career plays a vital role in the field of medical science. We're in the lab today to meet a medical lab technologist. Hi.
Hi, I'm Jody.
I'm Brian.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Let's get lab coat on and get you started.
Great.
My name is Jody Simmons. I'm a medical laboratory technologist, and we're at the Dawson Creek and District Hospital lab. Medical laboratory technologist works in the lab. They run patient samples, blood and body fluids. They're tests that are ordered by a doctor, and we run them on instruments, and we make sure that those results are accurate and precise before we release them to the doctors. A typical day would involve coming in and waking up all our instruments, and then we would have to pull quality control material to make sure that our instruments are running correctly. We would be doing any maintenance, like pulling apart the instrument and cleaning it before we would want to run any patient samples.
What is this machine?
We're looking at the inside of a chemistry analyzer. So when someone, for example, comes in the hospital with a heart attack or a suspected heart attack, this is actually one of the instruments we use to see if there's been damage. So you're always learning about new instruments. Your day is always different. Your day is never the same. You might be learning a new instrument, a new technology. In a small lab like this, we are required to draw blood sometimes, so we'll draw the blood and bring it back to the lab. We're looking at tubes, and I'm going to tell what this person's blood type is by using my reagents and these tubes. So if you're an A pos patient, or if your blood type is O, I'll be able to tell from these tests.
Okay.
You're putting drops in tubes, and you're using pipettes and small equipment, and you're doing maintenance, so it's good to be able to work with your hands. It's good to be very organized, so you can organize your workflow and compartmentalize because you have priority specimens as well. You might get pulled from one thing and there's a stat that comes in and it's a lot more, has priority over a routine sample, and you need to stop what you're doing and work on that stat specimen from the emergency, for example. Always double check your work,
Sure.
so you do not want to make a mistake. This person's bleeding in the merge. and they need blood quickly. You need to work quickly, but accurately as well. I don't think people realize how closely we work with other healthcare professionals. We work with nurses and doctors quite a bit. So the centrifuge is slowing down. It has spun the two samples together. So basically my patient's cells have just been spun. But if you look here, this is my tube. That there is a blood clot. That's a agglutination of a patient's cells.
So because the blood clumped together within this solution, you know that this is what type of blood?
This is an A person.
Okay.
Because I put A reagent in and the blood clumped, we have an A person. We work shift work, so we have day shifts. Our day shifts start at 7:30 to 4, and then we have a person coming in at 2:30 till 11 o'clock at night, and they're our evening shift, so they're on call all night until the next morning. I was interested in chemistry and biology in high school, and then I went on to get a university degree in biochemistry. There is a degree you can get for medical laboratory technologist, but I have a certification and it's a diploma, so it's a 2.5-year program. The advantage of having a degree over the diploma is you do get paid extra, and you can also take a management position a little easier than that. But the diploma, everybody is certified. You take a certification exam, and everybody is considered certified, and you can work anywhere in Canada. There's always opportunities to further advance your education. You could specialize in another department like microbiology. Also, the CSMLS, which is our certifying body, offers courses online that you can take and further advance. My advice for somebody straight out of school would be to go and do a lab tour, talk to somebody that works in a lab. A good medical laboratory technologist pays attention to detail. They're considerate to others. They really do care about the well-being of people, even though you're not in the forefront and people don't always see you. It's nice to know that you're having an impact on somebody's life.
Jody, thank you so much for showing me around.
Nice meeting you. Don't forget to wash your hands.
You got it. Thanks.
Bye.
Once again, I'm Brian for Career Track, reminding you that this career could be yours. See you next time.
Okay, so let's talk about the program. So like I said before, medical laboratory technologists perform over 1.2 million tests every day. And the results that we get are what doctors use on a daily basis to determine how to treat you as a patient or someone you care as a patient. Really what we do is provide them with information that they cannot see just from looking at the patient. And based on that information, they can then determine, okay, so what kind of medication do they need? What kind of further testing do they need? And what do we need to do next in order to get them healthy again? So the program is a 2.5-year full-time diploma program. Everything is on campus up until your practicum. So what we do on campus is we have instructors that are experts in their field that have worked as medical laboratory technologists in the past. And they will, you will go to lectures where they will teach you the material. You will then go to labs that are within BCIT where you will learn to apply what you learned in lecture. And you're going to be doing that for 4 semesters. After you're done, you will have a 5th semester, which is a 35-week practicum, where you'll be sent to either a hospital or a private lab that we have a partnership with. And there you'll be training with technologists on the bench for the entire period. And when that is done, that's when you get to write the CSMLS exam. If you pass the CSMLS exam, then you are now certified to work anywhere in Canada as a medical laboratory technologist. What we want to note, though, is that just like any other program within BCIT that have a practicum, the clinical placement is unpaid and students are expected to cover their own travel and accommodation expenses. And our partnerships with hospitals can be anywhere across BC. So we have people going to the interior, people in the lower mainland, and people going to southern Vancouver Island for their training. A few fun facts. So there is a large demand for medical laboratory professionals. We are in a crunch right now where people are retiring and we don't have enough techs to fill the open positions. BCIT has the biggest program in Canada with 96 students, but even then, that's not enough. Another fun fact, well, I guess that wasn't too fun, but another fact is that we just moved last September to our new health science building. It is a 4-story building that houses multiple health science programs, and the med lab program has pretty much all of the top floor. And we encourage you to reach out if you want to have a tour, because it is very different from what it used to be. And we're the second largest program within the School of Health Sciences at BCIT, behind nursing. The program itself, like I mentioned earlier, it is all in person. So you get lectures at BCIT, and the way it works is that lectures are in the morning, labs are in the afternoon, and you do that for, we call them levels. So you go through level 1, 2, 3, and 4, where level 1 is basically introduction to med lab. You get all the fundamentals you need to move on to the next levels. And when you get to level 5, that's when you go to your 35-week of clinical practicum. So you can go to locations like, it depends on where you're selected to go to, but you can spend your time training at VGH, at Life Labs, at Royal Jubilee on the island. You will have one main location that you will go to. As a medical lab tech, you will learn that there is shift work. So when you're looking at when you'll be training, you can be trained at any time of day and over the weekend too. You will not go from a graveyard shift to a morning shift, for example, but each site will have its own preference as to when or where they'll train you. It is essentially a 35-week job interview, and also an opportunity for you to really learn which of the disciplines that we train you in is your favorite, because you will then hopefully get the opportunity to choose which department to move into once you graduate. So in terms of career outlook, like I said before, it's fairly high in demand right now. We as medical laboratory technologists, upon graduating from BCIT, will start working in hospitals or private labs. And depending on where you are, you may learn different levels of automation, instrumentation. The starting median hourly wage is about $35 an hour. And with the CSMR certification that you get after challenging the exam, you can work anywhere in Canada. And also, some of our graduates will then do the US exam, which is the ASCP exam, so that they can work in the US. And over the next few pages, we're going to go over different career paths that you can have after you spend some time working as a tech. What we have here is just a visual representation of essentially where lab techs end up working in BC. I only put down the companies or institutions that I've met lab techs in, but I'm sure there are more. So on the left side, you see all the all the health authorities within BC that you might get trained in, except for Northern Health. Some people also get trained at private labs like Life Labs and Dynacare up top. And along the way, some move into multinational corporations like Sebia, Sysmex, Roche, Werfen, where they would be working in different capacities where they need lab techs to bring in their experience. And of course, there's also opportunities to move into government jobs too. When you're looking at hospitals or private labs, med lab techs work in the following locations. So the first 6, histology, molecular diagnostics, transfusion science, microbiology, hematology, and clinical chemistry is what we would be training you to do. So by the time you graduate, you will be certified, and pass the exam, you will be certified to work in any of those areas. And as you pick up experience, people would then either move into more senior positions within the bench, or they would they might move into IT, into quality departments, or into leadership roles. There's plenty of lab techs that move into director, manager, supervisor, director roles within the healthcare system. And some people move into project management also. When you look at the private sector, so the bigger companies that provide all the instrumentation that lab techs work with, what you have here is examples of positions that can be filled by lab techs. So field application specialists are the people that do the installation of the equipment and make sure that they run properly. The engineers are the ones that maintain it. People go to sales and consulting. And just like anywhere else, people move into IT, quality, and leadership positions. Now, when you look at provincial governmental bodies, the medical laboratory science field is accredited in that the hospitals in Canada have to be accredited by a government body. And part of that also involves lab techs moving into those positions and then going back to hospitals and making sure that they are in compliance with government standards. So you do see people moving into different positions, such as policymaking, project management, and again, leadership and quality positions. So what we have next is a video that was recently shot that shows a bit about current people within BCIT, students within BCIT, and a recent graduate that is now working at St. Paul's Hospital.
Hi, my name is Satney, and I work in transfusion medicine at St. Paul's Hospital. I love my job because I know that what I do in the lab is affecting others and helping them in their care. And they're so thankful and appreciative for what we do, and it's nice to just see that we're helping others. I chose to go into transfusion medicine because I love the hands-on testing that I get to experience in the lab. Getting to learn about antigens and antibodies and how that such small things affect people and their health. It's great. It's a super cool job, super fun, and I love it.
The Medical Laboratory Sciences program is a 2.5-year diploma-based program here at BCIT. Students in this program learn chemistry, hematology, microbiology, transfusion science, and histology. Our laboratories simulate the technology that students will be working with in their clinical placements and then later on in their employment, which means that they leave our program job ready. When our students have completed the program, they are qualified to write the National Certification Exam, which makes them eligible to work in hospital labs, private labs like Life Labs, or research labs across Canada. And there's a very high demand for our students. Even though we graduate 96 of them every year, we're still not able to keep up with the job openings in BC.
I really like working with my set mates. We're all supportive of each other and we all have the same goals, so we're always there for each other and have each other's back. So since we're with different instructors at different times, we go into smaller groups, and that just really helps build this relationship between all the students and instructors, so they know our strengths and weaknesses, and that's how they help us become better.
A huge factor for me was the fact that I could work anywhere in Canada with this license, and there's so many opportunities and jobs out there. It's a great career.
Sorry, I was muted. We're going to move on to Carlo Esau. He is a current level 3 student within our program, and he will talk to you a bit about why he came to BCIT and his experience so far. Here, Carlo.
Hi everyone, my name is Carlo. I'm a current level 3 student at BCIT. How I came to this program was basically, I was at Lingera and I was always intending to go towards research. And I didn't want to do it anymore, so I had a long, hard think about what I really wanted to do in sciences, and decided I always really like labs. And that's when I stumbled upon this program. And that was also because my sister and several friends also came to this program and really liked it, and that's why I decided to apply for this program. What I like about it so far is all of the knowledge that you'll learn in lectures, you'll immediately apply to in lab. So what you learn in lecture that week, you'll immediately apply it in whatever you're doing in lab that week, and it really puts things to perspective. Like it makes, I can see where that knowledge is important, and I also like how supportive the instructors are. During lab, I always have like 1 million questions, and instructors are always willing to help me and answer those questions. So I feel very supported. I think this program is definitely for people who are interested in investigative work behind the scenes. We're not always going to be with patients. We're going to be analyzing their blood, of course, but we're not always going to be talking to patients. And I think it's also for people who like to do accurate and precise work, because that's really our goal, to make sure that the results that we report are accurate and precise.
Okay, thank you.
All right, actually, I'm going to thank Julian and Carlos for all that awesome information. And I'm just going to take a moment here to talk about some admissions information before we get to the Q&A. So now I'll be reviewing with you the entrance requirements and admissions process, along with briefly discussing some key student services that are available to you at BCIT. Okay, so here's the update for everybody. The Medical Laboratory Science program will be offering 5 seats to successful applicants who self-declare as Indigenous. And the CASPER test is no longer an admissions requirement. If anyone may have seen that on the website a while ago, just to know that the CASPER is no longer a part of the requirement. So this program has 1 intake a year. And as of October 1st, you may apply for the September 2024 starting term. And you can always check for any updates on the website. Those are pretty standard. And filling out the online application is relatively straightforward. Once applications open for each cycle, you can log in and review the online application. You can work on filling out the application at your own pace. It does not have to go to admissions until you pay the application fee. And the date you apply does not have an impact on your application. You have until the application deadline date to submit your application. And regarding the application process, you will firstly review all entrance requirements and the application processing dates. Once again, you can find those on the BCIT website. You will then upgrade if necessary, and BCIT does offer some upgrading courses, and program advising can assist you with that if you need help. And please ensure that when you apply online that you have all your required documents, such as transcripts, ready to scan and upload as PDF files. And bcit.ca/admissions can guide you through the step-by-step application process. And once you are ready to apply online, you can visit bcit.ca/apply. And the application fee for domestic students is $90 Canadian. And the application process takes place entirely online. Therefore, you will need to convert your official transcripts and any additional documents that may be required to PDF files. And now let's review the requirements. Course proficiency in speaking in English, and English Studies 12, Pre-Calculus 12, Anatomy and Physiology 12, and Chemistry 12, all at a 73% or higher, and Physics 11 at 67%. But there are some preferred requirements, and preference will be given to applications with math, biology, and physics requirements completed within the last 5 years, post-secondary education, consistently good grades in previous education, a demonstrated interest in the field, and related volunteer and/or work experience. As mentioned, as part of the online application, you will need to upload documents for a timely assessment to be completed, and you can download official digital transcripts, or you can convert your transcript documents to PDF files. And information on how to convert documents to PDF files is available on our website. For example, you can scan or take pictures of your official transcripts and save them as PDF files. And please ensure you upload all required documents to minimize delays in the application process. So the admissions process, first of all, admissions reviews the applications to ensure the requirements have been met. Admissions then forwards completed applications to the MLS department, medical laboratory. And after application deadline date, department shortlists these applications and attend an MMI. Maybe someone can explain that later in the questions and answers. Department selects applicants and admission sends acceptance letters. And then once you pay your commitment fee, which is currently $500, you will be registered. So there's opportunities available at BCIT and other post-secondary institutions. Bachelor of Medical Laboratory Science program at UBC. There's a Bachelor of Health Sciences from Thompson River University, Health Leadership Advanced Certificate at BCIT, and a Bachelor of Technology and Technology Management also at BCIT. Now moving from academics, I would like to let you know BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense, which means we want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. Some of student services are available to you as a prospective student, and others will be available to you once you become an enrolled student. And here are some of the important student supports that I'd like to mention. If you are Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year. They offer peer-to-peer mentorship, a welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. BCIT's awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our financial aid and awards webpage. And I'd like to mention that we have a President's Entrance Award, and the selection is based on academic achievement, but also a volunteer and community service. And you can contact financial aid directly for more information about that. BCIT is committed to providing assistance to students with permanent or temporary disabilities. If you have been accepted to a program and believe you may need accommodation to be successful, I encourage you to connect with our Accessibility Services Department. And BCIT's Student Health Services is a health clinic located on the Burnaby campus, and they provide medical care for current BCIT students all year round. We also have a counseling and student development department available to help you enhance your education performance and maximize your success as a student at BCIT. And our recreation services promotes, encourages, enables the practice of physical well-being, and we consider recreation an integral part of campus life and welcome all students to enjoy their success. And there's the rock climbing wall and badminton and all kinds of intramural sports. It's a great place to go. And please don't hesitate to contact program advising if you have a question or are unsure of something. They're able to answer questions regarding entrance requirements, the application process, student resources, success strategies, program schedules, and many other details as well. They are available to assist you on specific days by telephone, email, or by in-person or virtual appointments. And please go to their webpage, bcit.ca/advising, for their most up-to-date contact information and service hours. If your inquiry is time sensitive, please call them during the telephone advising hours, and this is the best option to get your questions answered quickly. And we would love for you to connect with us on social media for the School of Health Sciences. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn right now. Hopefully some more coming soon. And of course, the bcit.ca website has all kinds of resources for you to learn and check things out. And that brings us to the questions and answers segment. And unfortunately, I have not been watching the chat, but I believe Bavina has been in there answering up a storm. So I'm not sure if there's a bunch of outstanding questions or if we're all on top of it. But if anyone does have any questions, now is a good time to put them in. Or you could even unmute yourself and ask if you would rather do that.
So Darren, if it's all right, I'm going to answer some of the questions that have come up
Please.
so far.
Okay, thanks.
So the first question was from Tim about providing proof of attendance. Darren, is that something that you can send to Tim just to confirm that he has attended the session?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, we certainly we have his registration, so yeah,
Okay.
certainly proof. Yeah.
And then Nick asked about the clinical practicum placements. How does it work? So essentially how it works is that we use a program called HSPNet that will select where people go. You have the opportunity to provide your top 5 choices as to where you want to go, and what the program will do is try to fit as many people as they can within each person's top 5. It doesn't always work out. It comes down to where people are requesting. Some might be more popular than others, so not everyone, of course, can go there. All I can say is that this past term, so the group that Carlo is part of, we end up getting 100% placement for all the students, meaning that all the students that gave their top 5 choices, they all got one of the 5. But again, it changes from year to year, and we don't physically interfere in that. It's all run by the program. Pac asked about the drawing blood, and Bavina, you did reply already that no, not all my lab techs draw blood, but I just wanted to know that we do train you on drawing blood. It is one of the requirements, and your practicum will include a couple weeks training drawing blood. Now, depending on where you get sent for practicum, you may be required to draw blood, but like Bavina said, not all sites will be expecting you to do that. So for some of you, you may draw blood for a couple of weeks and then never do that for the rest of your career, which is what happened in my situation. Bavina, you've replied the MMI part. Will AI replace some of MLS work? It's a hard question, right? Because I feel like with any profession out there right now, we don't know how AI is going to, we can't really predict how AI is going to affect any of those. All I can really say is that most of the companies that we work with in terms of vendors that provide us the instrumentation or the software, they're already using AI to augment their offerings. And if anything, it's been helpful for the technologists because it saves you time that you can focus on doing other work instead of having to do the, I don't want to say menial, but do the more intensive work that may not be the greatest use of time when there's so many samples coming through. Also keep in mind that automation has been increasing a lot in the medical laboratory science field, but that's mostly led to needing more laboratory technologists, because the more automation you have, the more things break down, and that's where techs come in and they use their troubleshooting and critical thinking skills to get things fixed and back and running again. So with aging population, increasing population, you have more samples coming in, you have more to test, and that means instrumentation is really mostly there to try to keep up with that. Can you tell us more about the MMI process? We can't, well, I'll give you a bit of information, but not too much. Basically what it is that if you're selected to be moving on from the application phase to the MMI phase, you would then be invited to a session through Zoom, where we have a panel of instructors and assistant instructors that will put you through different exercises, and you go through those, and we grade you at the end, and then we make our selection of the top 96 at that point. How competitive is the program? We have more people applying than people getting in. I guess that's where it changes from year to year. How many high school students are accepted per year? I don't know that we really keep track of that. We do have high school students coming every year, and we haven't seen that they perform worse or better than other people, because it really comes down to how they grow as they go through the program.
Can I say something about that?
Sure.
In my intake, which was September 2022, there were 3 high school students. I know one of them is doing very well. and one of them not doing so well. So it really depends.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, and it changes from year to year. It depends on how
you hear.
And as you go through the program, you yourself grow too, right? So we're not, so we can't tell whether or not you're going to do well or not. And we don't check whether or not you're a high school student as you go through the program either. Acceptance results be released. Well, we'll try our best to get it done shortly after the MMIs. It depends on how many people go through the MMIs each year. So this time around, our MMIs are in a couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll have things out within 2 or 3 weeks. It really depends.
Yeah, we have a couple more minutes if people, this is a great time to ask. But in the case you're not thinking of it right now, but you do later, you may want to consider get these email addresses. Of course, medical_laboratory_science@bcit.ca will go to Julian's department and can get program specific questions answered that way, or program_advising@bcit.ca for any admissions or other